Welcome back. My name is Owen Wilson, and this is just the next weekly review video for the week of 7/14. So I'm going to go through my results from this week, what I'm paying attention to, and how I'm problem solving those results to change my actions for the coming weeks and get improved results over time. And just a reminder of what this channel is all about. It's really just showing my daily, weekly, monthly results after going all into my business. I went all in about a month or so before I started filming these videos and showing my daily live trading and all that. But yeah, this time I'm doing it full time, and I'm showing, from a place of overall unprofitability on my business, changing that to, making multiple six figures per month, staying at elite level of trading and still improving at that level. So I'm showing the truth of what that actually looks like by showing all my results, not just showing the wins, not showing just losses in hindsight or anything like that, showing it in real time. And what I am, again, how I'm problem solving those results over time to get the business success that I'm looking for and that we're all looking for. The real results, they create an imperfect appearance, and so it can be very difficult to, for our human mind to see the long term through that. And so this channel, is truly a long-term channel. It'll be I'll keep it going for the length of my career. So it's a whole journey just starting now. And I'm excited to continue to share these results and, in my journey and keep this cadence up. So with that being said, let's just hop into my trader dashboard and we'll go over my weekly review. All right, so welcome to the trader dashboard. So this is the week of 7/14. I think this is week number 4 or so in a row of being break even. And it's not to say, what I mean by being break even, let me specify 4 break even weeks in a row. Small, very, very small win, very, very small loss, to where it's just, break even. And that is not unheard of. And it's not like that's something that's necessarily wrong by any means. It's very important to have that, for me to have that perspective that it is not necessarily wrong. Because you just ask, can you have a break even month in a trading career? Every year in your trading career, it'd be yeah, that'd be actually very logical to think that, right? Well, maybe that month is the past 4 weeks for me. What about 3 months of that? Still very logical that you might have that. So, I'm making sure I'm very purposeful in the way that I'm coming about reviewing. So the more tactical way that I review just on a weekly basis, no matter what, is I ask, what did I do well this week? Where did I fall short? What was the overarching emotion or mindset? And and that third one, really the 3 most important. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? And what is the 1% tweak I'll make for next week? So those are the 3 main questions that I ask. But those are very tactical. They're not strategic. The more strategic review that is very important for me is looking at my not just this week's, performance, but overall performance, how it's moving over time, and using things like just revenue, expense, and other data markers and stuff to make more strategic based decisions that will impact me over the next few months. So when I say next few months, just more long term, right? Action steps that I take that are just much more long term, not just next week. So that's what this video is going to be more about, because that's where I lean towards more this week, because I had, it's like continuing to just be break even. It's like, okay, I want to see like what I'm noticing, and if there's, what is something I can do to improve this performance. So I looked at my performance over the past 2 months. This is since I've gone all into my business. First week, pretty much got all the profit over the past 2 months. Had a drawdown, made it out of that. That was a very important experience for me. And then after I made it out of that drawdown, really just been, it's like a price action chart, right? It's like accepting value above this high, right? It's like just holding. It's consolidating. And that's been about a month or so. So one thing I looked at is just revenue expense. So when I look at my revenue, you can just look at it here. Very simple to here. So revenue, $133,000 revenue and $85,000 expense. So I mean, obviously this is profitable. It's a 1.56 profit factor. But when I look at that revenue, I see $133,000 over 2 months. To me, that sounds honestly pretty good, especially given it's been challenging markets overall the past 2 months. $133,000 in 2 months on $1 million, that's 13%. So that's pretty solid. So when I see that, I'm like, that is something that I'm hitting some solid wins, and you can see that in this net daily P&L. You can see these solid wins being hit. Had a lower volatility time coming out of drawdown, but then back to having these bigger wins hit. So then I asked, if I eliminated half of my expense, where would I be at? And it'd be about $91,000 over the past 2 months. So it'd actually be like double my net P&L if I just eliminated half of this total loss while maintaining, revenue. So then I just ask, it's like, how do I eliminate expense? And it's an objective answer. There's two things you can do. You can take fewer low probability trades or reduce risk on low probability trades. Where it becomes subjective is defining what low probability is. But like just objectively, if something's low probability, like the way that you reduce expense is you take fewer low probability trades, or you reduce risk on those low probability trades. What is that another word for? Just being more selective is a way to reduce expense. Because what does selective mean? Right? Selective means choosing to select only higher probability setups. I mean, if we look at it. So again, it's like, what defines high versus low probability? Well, I have that defined in my system. So last week, I did this same thing last week, but I guess I did show it in the weekly review, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I think it was last week. But, I looked at the distribution of my data over here, over 15-minute time blocks. So if we go here, reports, day and time, like a 15-minute time block. So, and what I noticed immediately was that big drop off of 10 or after in performance. Very, very big, like unprofitable. So a week or two ago, switched to only taking trades between 9:30 and 10 instead of 9:30 and 10:45. So dramatically reduced that time period in which I'm executing and placing risk. And so what that did is, when we look at like this performance, I was like, okay, this is my performance over time, just accounting and filtering for 9:30 to 10. This is now that updated past 2 month performance. I mean, that, much higher. Expense was cut in about in half. It was a little bit, but cut by about 40%. But also, total profit was reduced some too, but obviously profit factor has gone up, P&L has gone up, that was a call it like a, yeah, it was a positive change. Like that is a change that when I see that, I'm like, okay, this is removing much more expense than revenue. This is something that I should take. And so I've taken it and somewhat been continuing on this cadence over the past like week or so. So yeah, so that was an example of taking fewer lower probability trades is, well, if I see probability be lower after 10, then I remove those out of the bucket that I'm going to be taking. So then I'm looking, okay, like what do I do past here? Because when I look at this, like this looks, pretty solid. $61,000 too over 2 months is in no way is that bad. It's just and like bad. Let's not use good or bad as the words that I say. In no way is that like low performance. I don't really have like benchmarks yet with this system because it's only been 2 months. So I don't know, it was much faster growth earlier and it's been slowing down, but very possibly just ramps right back up and has very explosive, movements in P&L. I expect that actually. So with that, it's like well, just probably keep doing what I'm doing. But still, I'm still going to ask myself more questions, right? So it's like I look at this and it's like, well, there's obviously room for improvement. With my system, I want my goal for the system is to have a profit factor of 3 or higher. I want to see, 2.34 is a great profit factor, but also still want to see it improved. And so I asked myself, how do I grade a setup to place different amounts of risk on it? Because again, that's the thing that's going to determine how I'm eliminating expense, right? It's like, how am I making sure I'm taking fewer low probability trades and reducing risk when probability is lower? Well, so I have 3 things that I grade a setup on, and I place aggressive versus conservative risk. So that's only a 2. That's like an A and a C. But the A and the C have different values depending on what trailing drawdown I have. So that's where the third parameter comes in. So I have trailing drawdown, which is a known variable, the time of the session, which is also a known variable, and then I have 4-hour context, which is a discretionary variable. It's not a known variable. My determination of 4-hour context is not the same as somebody else's determination of 4-hour context, but my trailing drawdown and the time of the session is an objective thing. So those are the 3 things that I make decisions on in terms of what I'm going to place risk, how I'm going to place risk. So, for example, if trailing drawdown is high, and we can look at this, in my in my matrix, it's like when trailing drawdown is high, as in there's available trailing drawdown, right? I risk more. And then similarly, it's like if there's higher time frame context to the movement that I'm seeing with regard to time-based liquidity in lower time frames, then I increase, so I'm looking here, increase to aggressive risk, and if there's not, have conservative risk. Similarly, if it's between 9:30 and 9:45, no restriction on aggressive risk, but if it's 9:45 to 10, everything is either conservative risk or no trade. And I'll show you why that is. And so I was looking, I'm like, okay, so those are 3 variables. So, well, basically I then asked myself, I'm like, well, let's take a look at that data. So this is from 9:30 to 10. Let's go to reports, and let's look at reports, day and time, and break it up still into the 15-minute periods. Okay, so here's the data. So right now, in terms of P&L, 9:30 to 9:45 is lower than 9:45 to 10. There's fewer trades in this time, but higher win rate, lower risk reward from 9:30 to 9:45. lower win rate, higher risk reward from 9:45 to 10. So that is data showing exactly why I do what I do. So it's like, okay, I have higher risk and more selection from 9:30 to 9:45. So there's fewer trades, higher win rate, lower risk reward, ends up making solid money. And then there's a little bit less selection from 9:45 to 10. Or let's just at least say that, like, yes, like in a way, but we'll say this: there's more opportunities 9:45 to 10, more trades, lower win rate, but it's a higher risk reward. I often am making, more, multiples of my risk in those times. So what that means is then I put lower risk on that. I'm willing to take, a few more swings to get that higher risk reward, and then end up getting it, and then actually end up making a lot of money over time. So all of this is very I'm looking at all these metrics this week, and I'm like, man, that's what it all is. That's what, the system is. That's like an ideal performance for it, in terms of that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's proving with metrics why I'm making the decisions that I'm making. I didn't mean ideal performance from profit factor, but it's like that. This is congruent. That's the word I was looking for. This is congruent with why I make the decisions that I do. I'm like, oh well, so it's working, right? And so now I look back at this past month or so, and I look and I'm like, oh, I've actually been making some mistakes here and there. A lot of these, this red day and this red day, they were both mistakes. They, in terms of the way that I was placing the trades per my system and the way I was risking. It just felt like stuff was moving so fast. I never expected this to happen, but I actually I literally, without realizing it in the moment, missed aspects of my system. You can go back and see different, in my past weekly review videos, I was showing that. But even in this week, let's take a look at, this day, I took this trade. I still would have taken a trade in here, but there was actually, with the way that I gauge reactions, this sweep of liquidity was actually priced for re-entering the key level. I need to see another sweep and push away. Otherwise, I need to see price only created a fair value gap down here. Need to see reaction to the fair value gap. So it would have been more in here that would have taken the trade, lower risk, and it would have been about break even based on how I trail. So that would have been, just there, $5,000, $6,000. That would have been that was the cost of me making a mistake. So, and then the rest of the week, there were no mistakes. I didn't make it, it was still break even generally, but the rest of the week, there were no mistakes in the execution of my system. So, just basically what is the conclusion? Well, I'm realizing the system is so far working, but I have been making some mistakes in terms of the known variables of my system. I've been making mistakes. Discretion, I don't really, the discretionary aspects, it's more I don't think of it don't make any mistakes. It's that is a discretionary thing. It's supposed to be more intuitive. There's still processes behind it. But in terms of the known variables of my trade that are, anybody can follow and will see the same way, whether there's a fair value gap or not, whether there's a sweep of liquidity or not, those kinds of things. What is the time of the session? Those are all known variables. I was making mistakes over the past month with those known variables. And so what I'm going to do as what is my 1% tweak, or what am I going to focus on, for the coming weeks, I'm going to make sure that I'm not making mistakes on the known variables of my system. because the truth is, the system is performing as I would anticipate. High win rate in this time, low RR, low win rate, high RR at this time. Overall, during this period, right, this is still very profitable. Eliminate some of the mistakes, get this profit factor up. That alone could get that profit factor up to 3. And, then over time, seeing that goal met, there will likely, I don't want to just act like it, the system is perfect as it is. I would say it's not, and I never think I will believe that, but like, as of right now, it's, it is working. The data is showing it. And so what I need to make sure I'm doing is meeting every aspect of the system that's known, and also discretionary, but of course, that's discretionary. The known variables, those are not, and I must make sure that I'm meeting them. So that's my 1% tweak. And in terms of what I did well this week, it was being selective. I was very selective. I only took 3 trades this week. That is low compared to what I normally would, but I honestly, it was appropriate to take 3, but where I fell short was in the way that I made a mistake here in terms of risk and reaction based on known variables, right? And because I wasn't thinking long term in the sense of like, still I'm thinking like in the past, like, gosh, I've been in a consolidation for a month, like this is too long, something's wrong, and that's, the human mind doing that. Instead of looking at the metrics over 2 months, being like, okay, like overall this is the system doing its job. I need to make sure that I'm meeting this. And when I'm in that mindset, it's like, it doesn't matter if I miss a trade or miss a week of trades or miss a month of trades. Anytime I can pop in, and the probabilities will be there. So that's the way that I'm coming into this next week. And yeah, I think that's the main review for this week. Lot of data looking at, but just want to make sure that everything's aligning with the system and that it's making sense. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Gonna come into this week and yeah, continue to see the results over time, post them on here, and yeah, I'm excited to share the results for the coming week.